Hello everybody, this is Mithril Zenith, and welcome back to another tier list. One I've already done, but feel like revising because I feel like I wasn't necessarily super honest, unbiased. I don't know. I've rethought my feedback and my thoughts and feelings. We are ranking all the Fire Emblem games on a tier list because I want to. Because it's been about a year since I've played any Fire Emblem game. More than just passing. I feel like I'm separated enough from my feelings about Fates to give a more honest review of them. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. First of all, let's just go in order. Fire Emblem 1. I like it. I want to put it B tier, but I know that because it's slow, it has a lot of issues. It has its own issues. I don't think I can honestly judge it any higher than C tier, maybe B tier. Yeah, it's it's my list. I can put it B tier. But we'll see. I may move these up or down as time goes on. It's fun. It's slow. It has a lot of jank to it. It doesn't make sense, a lot of the decisions it makes, but they're still fun, they're still interesting, and I still feel like there's a lot to learn, a lot to enjoy from it, even now. Fire Emblem 2, I think it's an A tier game. I don't think it's perfect. I think that, again, the slowness kind of takes away from it. I feel like the jankiness of how overpowered or underpowered certain things are in the game, mostly overpowered, makes it better instead of worse, because you get to play with a lot of overpowered toys, and that's just really fun. And you get to get beaten down by enemies who are a lot stronger than you, and then you get to become the powerful one. And not many games, not many Fire Emblem games do that both at the same time, where you can face Gold Knights in Act 3, at the start of Act 3. Bow Knights at the start of Act 3 and get wrecked by them, but then when you get your own Bow Knights and Gold Knights and Barons, and you have all the best equipment in the game as well, you can completely demolish enemy tier 3 units, and it's just so much fun. I just really enjoy it. Again, the slowness, the jank, the simpleness is all it's keeping it out from S tier. I just love it so much. Mystery of the Emblem, having played it, I mean, just the once, but in full Iron Man, I really enjoyed it. I think that it's great. I think it reduces a lot of jank from the previous game. I feel like it does a really good job of being what it is. I think it's an A tier game. I think it's a very solid core Fire Emblem experience that experiments a little bit with stuff like dismounting. Do I think it's perfect? No. Do I think that, do I like all the systems it uses? Not really. But I think it's solid, and I think it provides so much content as well between both books, even if they did trim down and change a lot of stuff. Genealogy? Okay, so here's where I have a problem tiering stuff, because A tier is going to be so full of games if I keep doing this. I feel like I need to stratify slightly, and I need to do something like, but can I put Genealogy down? I don't know, I like it so much. And here's the thing, I just like most of these games, okay? I will say, even though I dislike some Fire Emblem games, I don't think that there are any true terrible Fire Emblem games. So, E and F tier are probably going to be blank, unless I feel really, really particularly vindictive. Genealogy does a lot of weird stuff, but again, I'm kind of a fan of it. I find a lot of it really annoying and a lot of it really frustrating at times when I'm in it, when I'm dealing with it. But looking back, I think about it fondly. It's charming, it's cool, and it's fun, and it makes me want to replay it, There's so much to like about that game. Even though there's so much to say, that's weird, why is that there? I don't know why that is. 3CI, I think I'm gonna have to B tier. I'm debating C tier for it. I guess the question is, yeah. I love the story. I love the scale. I love the ways that at which it tries to make things matter. but I just hate all the randomness. It is the most random Fire Emblem game in the series, and I think that that's where it kind of falls flat. I think that it's both the most mechanically complex, at least until we get to Three Houses, in which case it's all Three Houses more simple, but more complex in different ways. It's the most mechanically confounding. How about that? The mechanics are hard to understand, hard to parse, hard to figure out how best to use them. And I think that that is both a strength and a weakness of the game, but I think that that combined with the high level of randomness in the game brings it down, ultimately. Fire Emblem 6. The game is jank, but I like the jank. It's not jank enough, you know? On repeat playthroughs, I grow to like this game more. That's what I've come to appreciate. I like this game more the more I play it, and that's why it's A tier ultimately. There's so much depth. I like how balanced the units are. The units feel the most balanced that they've ever been in any Fire Emblem game. I like the way that they feel. I like the way the game feels to play, the way the units feel. Even if they all feel bad and clunky, it feels as a whole like you're really doing your best to make the most out of what you have, to make the most out of a bad situation. That's what Fire Emblem 6 is to me, and it does that really well. Fire Emblem 7, I can't rate lower than 6, can I? No. It does character-based storytelling so much better, especially with all the supports. And it does the mechanics really well too. After doing my Marcus solo run, I come to a much greater appreciation of the map design in Fire Emblem 7, of how much they thought about things, of how much they thought about, hey, alternate paths, hey, multiple spreads, multiple splits, multiple ways to attack. The way the enemies are stratified into waves of melee, then range, then melee, then ranged, and just how everything combines with that. I think that there's a lot of good design here. So yeah, it's A tier. Sacred Stones, do I just throw into S tier right now, or do I have to peg it as A tier? Because I know the game is flawed. I know the game has flaws. I know that it's too easy. I know that, you know, I can't necessarily just use the out of, yeah, it's too easy, but literally just raise enemy stats, scaling, stratifying by about 10%, and the game, on hard mode, make a true hard difficulty, and the game is so much better. Because every unit is good, every unit is usable. Admittedly, the grinding systems, like, they're not necessary, but they can feel necessary. It's a weird complex with that. But I love the characters so much. The main lord and lady, the main lords, Ephraim and Erica, are honestly probably the most bland characters in that game, which does it a disservice because the game is full of a supporting cast that is the most interesting supporting cast in pretty much almost any Fire Emblem game until you hit stuff like Three Houses. Seriously. I think I can justify putting it in S tier just for me, even if this is just going to be my nostalgic bias, okay? Moving on. Path of Radiance. I think I put S tier last time. I think I have to just put it at A tier. I love the map design. I love the scale for the most part. It's so close to Sacred Stones for me. Maybe I do put it in S tier. Yeah, I think I have to put it in S tier. The more I think about it, I'm just like, I just love this game so much. I just... So many good memories of playing the game, so many times when I'm like, that's a really good system. Why did that never come back? Bonus experience. Leveling up into classing up. They killed FOMO and made it a good thing. They made unit investment not just stratified by availability. Where is that now? But like, and also not grinding. They made side objective. They made a system in Fire Emblem to introduce side objectives to give long-term benefit without having to give immediate like items. They made a solid system for scalable side objectives, and they never used it again outside of Radiant Dawn. What gives? What gives? The bonus experience system was so good. Why did you never use it again? Anyway, moving on. I think I have to place Radiant Dawn in A tier. I love the game so much. I love its scale. I love what it tried to be, what it tried to do, but I think it just fails in some key ways to keep it out of S tier for me. I don't think I can give it that high honor. I think ultimately it's a little too long. It's a little too... Every time you play it, you're still restricted in having to use certain units, it feels like. Even though there's a lot of experimentation you can do, it feels like there's certain things that just kind of you have to do to make a decent playthrough, otherwise your playthrough's going to suck. They made it so that you are highly encouraged to use like half the cast, but then the other half of the cast they just like throw in with the most numerous group, and they never give them an opportunity to shine. What gives with that? I feel like there's so much potential here, and they manage to use a lot of it, but they don't really capitalize on it all as effectively as they could, and that's what separates it from S tier. That's what separates it from Path of Radiance, because I think Path of Radiance, having the more limited scope and scale, meant that they could more fully execute on what they were trying to do. Is it perfect? No, I don't think any of these games are perfect, but I think that they are good enough, and so good, that it's definitely worth experiencing pretty much all of them. Let's be real here. Shadow Dragon. The more I play the game, the more I appreciate and like it, but the more I play its other games, the other versions of Jugdral Saga, the more I like those more. It's hard for me, but I think... I don't know if I can give this... I'll give it a B tier. I will. Will I give it a B tier? No, I don't know if I can give it a B tier. Because I hate this game. I think there's so much good, there's so much interesting with it, so much potential with it, but I think that there's so many systems that are just problematic. I think that it's so problematic in so many ways because it was so experimental with implementing the reclassing system, with implementing so many of its other fallback systems, that it took the game with some of the most fallback systems in it and added even more fallback systems onto it. It was experimental with difficulty, doing hard 5 stars, throwing that out there. No other game had done difficulty that severe before, no other Fire Emblem game. It made a lot of choices which have ended up, some of which panned out really well, a lot of which not really panned out. Ultimately, it made a lot of choices that have ended up being divisive for the series. And so wherever you fall on that is going to be wherever you place it. I think that it is some of the more poorly executed, but also it's the first one to do it. I think that I have to... I don't know. I don't know where I place this. Do I honestly place this as the lowest of the Jugdral games? Probably. New Mystery of the Emblem. What are you? What is New Mystery? Please tell me. Someone tell me. I don't know what this game is. It's a fun game, but it's a puzzle game, basically. It feels like you're playing a puzzle game version of Fire Emblem. Like, every map is a puzzle. But every map is a puzzle that you have to have prepared for ahead of time. And I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I think it's fine. I don't think it's horrible. Maybe I will rank it C tier. I don't think it's horrible, but... I don't know. You know? It's hard to really say how I feel about it. I definitely feel it's worse than Shadow Dragon, but I don't know how much worse, you know? It's really hard to say. Maybe putting in the rest of the games will help me stratify this a little bit. Awakening, I think I have to put in C tier. I don't hate the game. I don't love the game. There's a lot to like about the game. I think that if you just play on hard mode, or if there was a difficulty that's slightly harder than hard mode, but not all the way up for Lunatic, you know, it'd be fine. But even then, I think some of the decisions of the game, the simplifying of characters, the forcing of supports between everyone, kind of stretched the characters too thin. I guess I don't necessarily think that characters were simplified too much. I think that they were spread too thin because they tried to make supports with pretty much almost everyone with everyone. And a lot of them felt forced and a lot of them felt not so great. In terms of the actual mechanics of the game, I'm not a fan of endless grinding systems. I mean, sure, you could, like, you grind in the Tower of Volney, but you can still only 20/20. In this game, you can theoretically grind infinitely, reclass, back to 1, grind again. And I know that it cuts your experience based on a total level gained system, but I don't know. There's so much that's problematic with Awakening. I think it's better than the DS games, but I think it still, for me, is not the peak. I might give it B tier, but I might give any, like, Shadow Dragon B tier as well, you know? And I might give New Mystery D tier, so that's kind of how I feel about it. Fates games are tricky for me. Because when I'm playing them, I can deal with them, but I'm not a huge fan of them. When I'm not, I can think back and appreciate it. So I can appreciate what they do a lot better when I'm not playing them, because when I'm playing them, I just get frustrated with them, to be honest. And so that's why it's like, okay, Conquest and Birthright, I think they're fine. I think that they do a lot. Okay, so here's my take on Fates in general. I think mechanically it is a much more solid game than Awakening. But I have a hard time really getting into it or enjoying it because Birthright, I feel like, doesn't really do enough with its systems, and Conquest does too much with its systems. I feel like Conquest goes overboard in terms of let's try and make difficult maps. I feel like Birthright falls into the same trap that Awakening did when it tried to make difficult maps, where it's like, let's make it difficult by just spamming enemies, which is not necessarily entertaining. But I feel like where Conquest does it, it walks the line between really fun and really frustrating. And I think more often than not, for me, it falls into the frustrating camp than the fun camp. But I understand that for a lot of people, find that more fun than frustrating. So that's, why it's hard to really rank that. And so we come to a point where I think that it's like, I don't know. This is a wash for me. It's kind of a mix for me. I guess if we're starting to rank within tiers, like, we can do something like this, I guess. I don't... It's difficult for me. It's difficult for me. Let's get on with it. Revelations, I think, is the worst of them all, because it's the only Fire Emblem game that I actively just decided to stop playing. Not because I got frustrated, not because I hit a wall, but because I got bored. I went through the first time and it was interesting. I tried to go through a second time and I couldn't bother. It's... okay. It has the inverse effect of a lot of Fire Emblem games. A lot of Fire Emblem games, the more I play them, the more I like them. Revelations has the opposite effect on me. Actually, all Fates has the opposite effect on me. The more I play them, the less I like them. I think understanding and accepting that is just a part of who I am. But I think that I can come back with a more clear head and say that Revelations is definitely the worst Fire Emblem game. I think that it's still playable and it's still enjoyable, so I think the D tier is where I bottom out, but I don't think it's great. I don't think it's that good. Echoes. These three are my favorite Fire Emblem games. It's hard to pick between them for me. Echoes, I love the presentation of, I love the character story of, I love the mechanics of for the most part. I think the only part where Echoes really dropped the ball was the DLC. It didn't need to be there, it was way overpriced for what it was, and what it was ended up ruining the careful game balance of the rest of the game. And so it's like, you didn't need to do that. Why did you do that? I love all the characters. I love the story that they have. I love the gameplay that it had. I like how it went back to a more archaic style. I don't think the maps are perfect. I think some of the maps are frustrating, but I think that they do what they need to be, and I enjoy it for that. I have a lot more... Turns out I have a lot more resilience for what a lot of people call bad map design, and I have a lot more scrutiny over what people call good map design. Conquest, I think, for instance, has some of the best maps designed theoretically. I think the execution is close but not quite there, but I feel like it's not quite there in a way that ends up taking down the whole thing and subverting it and making it so much worse and more frustrating because you can see how it's so close to being there but is not there. Versus something like Gaiden maps. They're not trying to be intricately designed strategic puzzles. They're just trying to be more straight up designed maps, like area maps that you happen to be fighting on. And I think that that works for Echoes. I think that works for Gaiden. I think that that works because you're not trying to have the most intricately designed maps. I think that the maps they do try to design work because they're designed to be an area first and a strategic map second, in a weird way. Because ordinarily, I would say for gameplay, you want to have a strategic design first and an area design second, but I think that they flip that in a way that works for SOV and Gaiden. I don't know. I just like it. And Three Houses is definitely an A-tier game. I've gone back and forth with this game. I loved it while playing it, and then I kind of disliked some of it while playing it, and then I liked it again while playing it, and I really came out with a good impression. And then I stopped playing it, and I started consuming media about it, and then I started liking it less because I got twisted by opinions of people that I agreed with, opinions that I didn't agree with, and I started to stratify myself, and I fell into Three Houses fatigue, feeling like there's way too much of it, and I just kind of got sick of it. And then as I look back, and I think about the game, and I think about what it does well, even though I think that it did a lot of things, kind of like, let's be honest, it's kind of like Radiant Dawn. It had so much potential, and it promised so much, and it didn't really deliver on it all perfectly, but delivered on it enough to be enjoyable, and that's what I think I liked most about it. No, what I liked most about it was the Blue Lions arc, let's be real, for the most part, except for that one scene with Dimitri and Rodrigue, and I'm just like, okay, you had a million other ways to do that, why did you do that way? Outside of that, Blue Lions arc is great. I think that there's so much to love about this game that I've been unfair in some of my takes about it. I think it is a very good game. I don't personally hold it as an S-tier game. I don't think it has that level of polish to deserve it, but I think it is still a very strong, very solid, very fun, enjoyable game, and definitely worth the 200 plus hours I put into it over all 4 routes and DLC. So yeah, do I want to mix this up? Do I want to change how I rank these games? You know, I'm not sure I do at this point. I think I can't necessarily rank these any higher. I can't necessarily rank these any lower. And though I struggle back and forth, I think this is where I'm gonna set these. Now the question is this where I think the games are within tiers? I'm actually going to do something I don't normally do and rank within tiers. I think that this is good. Sacred Stones is only here. I know that it's the weakest of the S tiers, but I have to say I did enjoy it more than any of the A tiers. Gaiden, which I really like, so hard. So hard to choose. I love all these games so much, except for you. I think you're only okay. Yeah, I think Thracia deserves it. I think it's effort put in more than, legacy. And I think that that's probably how I want to rank the DS and 3DS games. Yeah. So that's my tier list. That's the way that I'm gonna say I see the games. I see the Fire Emblem series as very good. I'm looking forward cautiously to where it goes, because I know that it's, I mean, like I said, this is modern Fire Emblem. Some of the best games, some of the worst in the series. I'm not ranking Heroes, I can't do that. Heroes is like just deeply problematic for a lot of ways. But yeah, I think Fire Emblem's a great series. I really enjoy it, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to play it and experience it and enjoy it and love it so much. Leave your comments down below. Let me know how wrong I am for all of my hot takes. I think my takes have cooled over time, but they're definitely still mine. They're still my opinion. This is my opinion. You can rank the games how you want. I know there's a lot of people who love Fates and Awakening. I know that there's a lot of people who think Three Houses is the best thing ever. I know there's a lot of people who hate Echoes and Sacred Stones, who think the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn games are overrated. I know that these things are opinions that exist. I just don't happen to have those same opinions. Anyway, if you like me sharing my own opinions or talking about things in what I hope to be a reasoned manner, leave a like on the video and please sub to the channel. It really does help me out and help out this content to help me to get a better idea of what you like. Leave a comment down below if you want to talk about any of these games. Leave any suggestions you'd like of any other tier lists you want or any other content type things you would want, because I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I don't really know what else to do. I have some ideas of long-form script content, but that's going to take a long time to edit. So yeah, just let me know what you think, and I will get back to you. I always do. This is Mr. Zenith, signing out.